She wakes up before the sun, quietly moving through the house, setting everything in motion while the rest of the world still sleeps. Her footsteps are soft, her movements practiced. She's the reason the day begins smoothly for everyone else. There's no applause, no spotlight, no thank you, but still she shows up every single morning with a quiet strength that often goes unseen. She's the heartbeat of the home, yet people forget to check if her heart is okay. You see, she smiles. Always, not because everything is okay, but because someone has to hold it together. Her smile isn't always joy. Sometimes it's armor. It's a mask she's mastered wearing so well that even the closest to her can't always tell when she's breaking inside. And that's the hardest part. She gives so much love, but rarely receives the depth of care she offers others. Everyone leans on her, but where does she lean? She listens to everyone's problems, from her children's smallest complaints to her partner's heaviest burdens. She absorbs them all. And when she finally sits down, when the house is quiet, and no one's asking for anything, that's when her silence screams. That's when her own pain surfaces, the worry she couldn't voice, the sadness she couldn't explain, the loneliness she had to hide just to keep the house peaceful. Most people only see her smile. They don't see her in the bathroom, locking the door for just a moment of quiet. They don't see the tears she quickly wipes before stepping out with a warm plate of food. They don't hear the way her heart beats fast when no one asks her if she's okay, because maybe they've stopped noticing, or maybe they never learned how to see her beyond her role. She doesn't ask for help, not because she doesn't need it, but because she knows what the answer might be: excuses, distractions, or worse, disbelief. You're strong, you can handle it, they say, as if strength means she never gets tired, as if carrying the emotional weight of a family is easy. But strong people bleed too. They just bleed quietly, often behind a door that's always left open for others. What most don't understand is that she doesn't want grand gestures. She doesn't want flowers once a year or praises on social media. She just wants to be seen, to be acknowledged, to be asked genuinely, "How are you?" And not just asked, but heard. She wants someone to notice the subtle way her smile falters when no one's looking. She wants someone to notice that lately she's been laughing a little less, that her energy, once vibrant, now feels distant. This woman, your mother, your sister, your wife, your daughter, isn't just running a house. She's holding a family together, and sometimes the ones who hold everyone else end up breaking the hardest, because no one thinks they need to be held too. But here's what you need to understand. She's human. She feels deeply. She hurts when she's ignored. She cries when no one's watching. And even though she continues to smile through the storm, that doesn't mean she's not soaked by the rain. So today, pause for a moment. Look around you, see her, not for what she does, but for what she hides. Offer her your presence, not your pity. Offer her your attention, not just your expectations. Remind her that she doesn't always have to be the strong one, that it's okay to fall apart sometimes, that someone is willing to catch her, just like she's caught everyone else her entire life. Because behind her smile, there might be pain, but behind that pain is a woman who deserves more than just survival. She deserves to be cherished. She does everything. She's the planner, the caregiver, the problem solver. She knows what's missing in the kitchen, what bill is due tomorrow, and what her child's tone means even before words are spoken. She moves through the house like clockwork, predictable, reliable, dependable. But ask yourself this: when was the last time someone asked her who she is beyond her duties? 'Cause this is the tragedy so many women silently live. They are praised only when they perform. Compliments come when the food is good, when the home is spotless, when the children are polite. But rarely does someone stop and acknowledge H, not as a role but as a person. Her name gets swallowed by the titles others give her. For wife, sister, daughter. And though she wears them with pride, they often come at the cost of her own identity. She has dreams too. Maybe she wanted to study more, travel more, create something, build something, write something. But she paused all of it. Why? To care, to give, to support others while quietly erasing her own timeline. Over time, even she forgets what she once wanted. She learns to survive through schedules, through lists, through service. And while the world benefits from her selflessness, they forget to honor the woman behind it all. What most don't realize is that being useful is not the same as being valued. She might get a thank you when dinner is served or a quick nod when the house is clean, but that doesn't feed her soul. What feeds her soul is feeling seen, feeling known, feeling appreciated not for how much she does, but for who she is, for her opinions, for her personality, for her essence. She's more than her utility. She's not a machine. She's not on standby, waiting to be asked to fix something. She has emotions, depth, creativity, and wisdom. She laughs at jokes no one hears. She cries in rooms no one enters. And through it all, she begins to wonder, if I stopped doing everything, would anyone still care to know me? It's a heartbreaking question, one that echoes in the hearts of countless women who feel invisible unless they are productive. And in that invisibility, their self-worth slowly deteriorates. They stop dressing for themselves. They stop speaking their mind. They stop prioritizing their health, their joy, their voice, because somewhere along the way, the message became clear. You matter only when you serve. But that's a lie, a dangerous one, because her worth was never meant to be tied to her output. She is not a to-do list. She is not just the sum of what she gives. She is a soul with desires, a heart that longs to be heard, a mind filled with ideas that deserve space, not silence. And what we forget is this: when we only value her for what she does, we reduce her. We shrink her into a label caretaker, cleaner, organizer, stripping away the complex, beautiful, radiant human being that lives within. We deny her the freedom to just be. You want to show respect. Don't just thank her for the meal. Ask her what she loves. Don't just hand her a list, ask for her opinion. Listen when she speaks. Not because she's doing something for you, but because her voice is worthy of attention. Invite her into conversations beyond housework. Encourage her to chase something just for herself, because when you invest in who she is, not just what she does, every woman deserves to feel that she's not just useful, but valued, that even on the days when she can't do it all, she is still enough, that even if she stops, her presence alone is a blessing. So the next time you see her in the kitchen, or behind the scenes, or quietly fixing yet another mess, stop. Look her in the eyes. Remind her that she's more than the weight she carries. Remind her that her existence, her thoughts, her being matter. Because the moment we start loving her for who she is, we begin healing the parts of her that the world so easily forgot. She doesn't just run the home. She holds it together emotionally. When someone's upset, she feels it first. When a child is anxious, she senses it before a word is spoken. When tension builds between family members, she becomes the peacemaker, the healer, the one who softens the sharp edges of anger with her presence. She's the emotional glue that keeps everything from falling apart, and yet no one ever wonders how much weight she's truly carrying. It starts subtly. A child cries in the night. She's the first to respond. Her husband comes home frustrated from work. She listens patiently, absorbing his stress while pretending she's fine. Her parents call with concerns. She calms them with reassurance, even when her own heart is full of doubt. One by one, everyone unloads their emotions on her, not maliciously, but because they know she's strong. She becomes the dumping ground for everyone else's emotional chaos. But what happens when her heart is the one in pieces? She doesn't have the luxury of breaking down. If she cries, the house pauses. If she falls apart, everything unravels. So she keeps going. She cries quietly, behind a locked door, wiping her tears before anyone notices. She has learned to wear calmness like a cloak. Even when there's a storm raging inside her, she holds in pain so the people she loves can feel peace. She swallows her fear so others can feel safe. Most people don't see this. They think emotional labor is invisible because it is. It's not a checklist. You can't photograph it. It doesn't make noise, but it's there. Every time she listens without judgment. Every time she puts her needs aside so someone else can feel better. Every time she smiles, even though she's running on empty. That's emotional labor, and it's heavy. What's worse is that emotional labor rarely gets acknowledged. No one says, "Thank you for carrying my sadness today." No one notices how she remembers everyone's emotional triggers, how she prepares for conflict before it happens, how she regulates the emotional temperature of the entire household like an internal thermostat. Her work goes unnoticed because it's done with love. But even love has limits when it isn't reciprocated. She is the reason birthdays feel special, the reason people heal faster after arguments, the reason children feel safe expressing themselves, the reason peace returns after a storm. She doesn't use loud words or dramatic gestures. She works in silence, through compassion, through empathy. But silence doesn't mean absence. Her efforts are everywhere, like the wind. You can't see it, but you feel its effect. And sometimes she feels that weight crushing her, because no one asks how she's due. And not really. People assume she's fine because she always is. But strength doesn't mean she's not struggling. It means she keeps going despite the struggle. She's learned to compartmentalize, to delay her emotions, to be the rock. But even rocks erode over time if they're never given a place to rest. And here's the truth that many miss. Carrying everyone else emotionally means she often has no room left for herself. Her needs are pushed to the back of the line. Her mental space becomes a battlefield of unresolved emotions. Her body feels the tension, her mind never switches off, and her soul longs for someone to say, "You don't have to carry it all." But she does it anyway. Not because she has to, but because she loves deeply. She gives all of herself because that's who she is. But love shouldn't mean sacrifice without support. Love shouldn't mean giving everything and receiving silence in return. So if there's a woman in your life who holds the emotional weight of your world, recognize her, thank her. Sit with her when she's quiet. Ask her what she needs. Help her put her burdens down, even if just for a while. Because even the strongest people need softness, even the healers need healing, and even the ones who hold everyone else together deserve to be held too. The emotional weight she carries is invisible, but it's real. And it's time we stop expecting her to carry it alone. She doesn't complain, she doesn't raise her voice, she doesn't ask for more than she's given, and so the world thinks she's fine. They look at her quiet face, her soft words, her calm presence, and they assume she's okay, but they're wrong. Her silence is not peace, it's not proof of strength, it's not evidence that everything in her life is perfectly aligned. Her silence is protection, a shield, a choice she's made because, over time, she learned that speaking up only led to being misunderstood, dismissed, or ignored. So she stopped, not because she had nothing to say, but because no one really listened. She used to speak, you know. She used to share what was in her heart. She used to express what hurt her, what made her feel small, what she wished could change. But when her voice was met with resistance, when her emotions were labeled too much, when her pain was downplayed, she retreated. Slowly, quietly, she began keeping things to herself, not because she healed, but because she gave up trying to be heard. And now, people look at her and say, "She's so strong." They admire her ability to stay composed, to never break down, to manage everything without needing help. But what they don't see is the cost of that strength. They don't see the nights she cries silently into her pillow, the mornings she takes a deep breath before stepping out of her room, preparing herself to wear that calm mask again. Her strength isn't strength, it's survival. The world misunderstands women like her, women who carry pain with grace, who don't explode, but instead implode, hiding the chaos inside themselves so others don't feel uncomfortable. And because they don't cause a scene, people assume there's no storm, but storms don't always come with thunder. Some of the most devastating ones come in silence, in heavy hearts, in quiet disappointments, in swallowed words and buried emotions. And she's been weathering that storm for years. You see, there's a difference between being quiet and being at peace. There's a difference between holding it together and being whole. Her silence isn't a sign that she doesn't feel. It's a sign that she feels too much. So much, in fact, that she's had to build walls to protect herself. And what's even more heartbreaking is that people start to depend on her silence. They get comfortable with it. They expect her not to react, not to push back, not to say no. And when she finally does speak, when she finally reaches her limit, they call her emotional, difficult, ungrateful. But they don't realize that the quietest person in the room is often the one carrying the heaviest load. So many women live like this, in homes, in relationships, in families. They suppress their pain because they don't want to be a burden. They remain silent because they don't want to start a fight. They endure because that's what they've been taught strength looks like. But silence is not strength. Real strength is choosing to speak even when your voice shakes. Real strength is allowing yourself to be seen fully, even in your brokenness. And real love is recognizing the difference. If you care about a woman who's always quiet, always calm, always strong, don't wait until she breaks to pay attention. Check in, not just with, "Are you okay?" but with, "Tell me what you've been holding in." Create space for her voice, even if it's soft. Even if she says, "I'm fine," ask again, not to pressure her, but to remind her that she's allowed to be more than just the peaceful one. Because silence isn't strength, it's a language. And if you listen closely, you'll hear the words she's never said. You'll hear the exhaustion in her breath, the disappointment in her smile, the longing in her eyes. And maybe, just maybe, you'll realize that the strongest looking women are often the ones most in need of gentle love. So don't admire her silence. Don't praise her composure. Go deeper. Look past what's easy to see. Because behind her quiet strength is a woman who's been fighting battles no one has acknowledged. And she deserves more than admiration. She deserves to be heard. She answers every call. She shows up when no one else does. She remembers birthdays, worries when you're late, notices the change in your tone, and checks in just to make sure you're okay even when she's not. She's the dependable one, the one who never says no, the one who always finds a way, even if it costs her peace. But when she needs someone, really needs someone, there's silence. It's not that people don't care. It's that they've grown so used to leaning on her that they forget she might need someone to lean on too. She has become so reliable, so available, that everyone assumes she's fine, that she's always okay, that she doesn't need the same care, attention, or affection that she pours into others daily, but that assumption hurts more than anyone knows. Because she feels invisible in her giving. People remember what she did for them, but not how much it cost her. They remember the meal she made, the advice she gave, the hug she offered when no one else noticed the sadness. But they forget to ask if she ate, if she had someone to talk to, if she ever receives the kind of comfort she so effortlessly gives. And the truth is, most of the time, she doesn't. When she hurts, she hides it. When she feels lost, she finds a way through alone. When she needs love, she often gives more instead of asking for it, hoping that somehow, someone will return the gesture. But it rarely comes, not because she isn't loved, but because she has become the giver in a world full of takers. A lighthouse in everyone's storm, but who lights her way? She's the friend who listens without judgment, the mother who sacrifices silently, the partner who forgives easily, the daughter who shows up, even when no one comes for her. She is always there, but when her world feels heavy, when her spirit starts to break, there's no one knocking on her door with flowers. No one saying, I made this for you just because. No one holding her and saying, let it out, I've got you. And yet she keeps showing up. Not because she's superhuman, not because she doesn't feel the sting of being overlooked, but because her heart is big, because her love is real, because even in her emptiness she finds a way to fill others. But this cycle can't go on forever. Even the strongest hearts need rest. Even the kindest souls need care. And the sad truth is, many of these women suffer in silence. They smile while breaking, they give while empty, they keep going, hoping someone, anyone, will finally see them. So if there's a woman in your life who's always there for you, take a moment today, call her, ask her how she is really. Bring her coffee without a reason. Write her a message that says, you matter to me, not for what you do, but for who you are. Be there for her, not just when it's convenient, but when she least expects it, because being strong doesn't mean she's okay. It just means she's learned to survive in a world that forgets to love the ones who give the most. She deserves more than just appreciation. She deserves support, not only when she breaks down, but long before that, so maybe she won't have to. The women who are there for everyone else often feel the loneliest when the room clears. So be the person who stays, who notices, who gives back, because the ones who are always there for us need someone who chooses to be there for them, even when they don't ask.